The last video I did for the Steam Deck, I talked about what the growing pains were being an early adopter of such a device. And as much as I love the Steam Deck, it does come with a lot of caveats being an early adopter, because essentially this is a first generation product, and with first generation products, those are the ones that are typically going to have everything needing to be ironed out to perfect the second generation. So if you're an early adopter, then you're pretty much the guinea pig for the new devices on hand. I don't mind that. As a tech head, I personally do like being like an early adopter. I just like getting my hands on new tech because I like to tinker. I like to see how it works, what it can do, push it to its limits and just have fun with it. I'm a tech head. I'm a gearhead. That's just part of things that I like. And I know that's not for everyone, but that is something that really appealed to me. While I did start the last video off with like the negatives because it was, the growing pains of being an early adopter and the things I don't like about the Steam Deck, I figured with this video, it's still going to be the growing pains, but I want to talk about things that I do like about the Steam Deck. So if you find anything interesting about the conversation we're going to have in this video, then please feel free to join in with the discussion in the comment section down below. And also, if you enjoy any of the content I put out, from the tutorials, the reviews, tech reviews, game reviews, the podcasts where I interview the game and tech industry, make sure you sub to the channel, ding the notification bell, and that way you stay up to date on all the latest and greatest content that comes out. Because I try to make as much content as I can, covering not only the Steam Deck, but just general tech and things I'm interested in. So if you're along for that ride, make sure you sub. So starting from the top of things I like about the Steam Deck, I really want to talk about the main thing is the majority of my titles are available at my fingertips. Not everything, like not every game I want to play is available and works, smoothly or out of the box with the Steam Deck. Some I'll have to, tinker around with some of the protons and see if I can get it working that way, because there's always a workaround to get something to work. And that's just one of the things I really like about this is there's always a way. If you're willing to put in the time and effort and tinker with it, you can get it working. Now, going back to my point, when the majority of my titles being available at my fingertips and just being easily playable, it's just really amazing. And it's just one of those things where it's like, if I want to play Doom or Doom Eternal, or if I want to play like Oblivion or Morrowind or Skyrim, or if I want to play Cyberpunk 2077 or any of the modern AAA titles, or if I want to throw it back to some, some classics, or if I want to play some indie games, this is really the indie backlog slayer. Like I've been playing way more indie games on this than even what I was doing on the Nintendo Switch, which really I played a lot of indie games on that platform. But it's just, regardless of the fact that this doesn't have the greatest battery life, it's just the fact that there's so much that you can do with this, whether you're into the modern AAA games, if you're into like the indie games, you're into like a mixture of old school, new school, and indie. Like there's so many capabilities with the Steam Deck, and it's something for everyone. And for me personally, everything that I want to play, for the most part, is playable out of the box or with some tinkering. So I just like having access to my Steam library whenever I really want to play it. Granted, some titles are going to need the internet to connect to do verifications, but for all intents and purposes, majority of the things that I have, I can just start up and just start playing, and I absolutely love that. Next point I want to bring up about things I really love about the Steam Deck being an early adopter is the backlog is ever decreasing. Like the battle of the backlog, if you're a gamer, you understand what that means, especially if you're a PC gamer and, every time those Steam sales come about, you're going to be dropping money. And that's just one of the things where it's like your library of games is ever growing. Your time as you get older and as you go to school, you go to work, you have a family, whatever have you, your time decreases. So that ability to sit at your desk and play your games, be they AAA or indie, really decreases over time. But yet with having this with you, you can get in a couple rounds of whatever it is you're trying to play. Like I can play some Witcher 3 if I want to. I can suspend it, come back later, pick up and play where I was. Or if I want to play some indie games, like I've been playing a lot of like Shadows of Adam. You know, that's an indie game I really like. It's along with like Aurafell. That's another amazing indie title. Or, you know, also like the Chrono series, like Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Like, I know those are oldies. I really enjoy playing them. And if I want something more modern, I'll step into like playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is one of the games I absolutely love. And everything's at the palm of my hands. So like my backlog, while yeah, it grows because I'm in the gaming industry as like a gaming journalist and content creator, and I'm always getting access to new games that are coming out. I'm not in the position I was before where it's just building and building. I'm having to eke out as much time to just devote to stuff because, you know, I've got kids. Like I said, I've got a toddler, I've got teenagers, and just being able to just pull this out and start playing and then put it away when I need to like go back into dad mode is absolutely amazing. And I'm very, very grateful that this is helping me slay that backlog. The other thing I want to talk about is the fact that I love Valve's support of the Steam Deck and their support for the community as a whole. And I know a lot of people like to say that, you know, when it comes to Valve, they're who's where's Valve or Google because they'll create something and drop it. I feel like everything Valve has been working towards, maybe over the last decade or so, has been towards creating a device like the Steam Deck. You know, outside of just the gamers who are already going to have a rig, like how do we get it to more people? And even though this is not as easily accessible as it should or will eventually become down the road, it's the fact that Valve is supporting this. Like, if there's any issues you have with it, like the line of communication with Valve is actually pretty good. Granted, there's the issues with, like, you know, if you're in the US dealing with FedEx and that whole thing of how the delivery people are taking the Steam Decks, and, you know, apparently that's still a thing that's going on. You know, I got a comment the other day on a video where someone's actually dealing with that. So, you know, that's one thing I don't like. But beyond that, like the communication with Valve, you know, as far as like, do you want to, you know, if you want to input Windows, you know, on your Steam Deck, if you want to tinker, you want to do any type of modification or upgrading, they have an open line of communication and they're supportive. Like, if, you know, when it came to Windows, a lot of people wanted to put it on initially and it didn't have the support, and then they were starting to work with it. And not only that, but other games that were notoriously difficult to run, like Elden Ring, you know, on PC. I had it day one and it ran like ass. But because of what they did to optimize it for the Steam Deck, but that also went so far as to help optimize it for the PC platform as a whole. And so, like I'm saying, like, just the general support that Valve is giving, like, even if you've got an RMA, your Steam Deck, like, they're really good with communicating. And that's something, you know, Lord Gaben is just, man, just give it up to the man. he's fucking awesome. Next thing I want to bring up that I love about the Steam Deck and being an early adopter is the community. You guys are fucking amazing. Like, I'm not even joking. You guys are so cool, so amazing. Like, when you go into the Steam Deck Reddit or the Steam Deck, you know, Facebook group page, or just anywhere where you're trying to talk to people about the Steam Deck, even the Steam Deck YouTubers, like, you know, ones like Games Revealed, Deck Ready, you know, High Tech Low Life, ETA Prime, even though he does a lot of other stuff, you know, Retro Game Core. If there's anything you're trying to find out about the Steam Deck, even Lions Tech Tips, you know, they're great too. It's amazing seeing how much the community is willing to come together and help each other. Like, you know, if you want to get into emulation, you want to install third-party launchers, you want to figure out how to get Game Pass and PlayStation Now going on your Steam Deck, the community is so welcoming and so there for one another that it's absolutely amazing. You know, if there's anything you're looking at, I know, like, I do tutorials. I've done various tutorials on things you can do for a Steam Deck, from emulation, third-party launchers, you know, fixing the Wi-Fi and so much more. But, like, if there's ever a point where you're hitting a dead wall, the other thing you can do, and maybe not everyone's really good with Reddit, but go to the Reddit, you know, because right there, people are so helpful. And, you know, there's another group that's come out, a Pixel something, I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, I'll put it in the description, but they're a group that's like, if you need help with like optimization for any of your games, you know, for battery life, for performance, graphics and everything like that, they are really the go-to for helping with that. You know, if you have any questions, they immediately are there. They're in the Reddit group, they're in the Facebook group. Like, they are truly an amazing group, and truly what makes this community so awesome. It's like we're gamers coming back together. It really brings me back to how gaming used to be before it went mainstream, where, you know, if I'm into video games and you're into video games, and, you know, we're really just like, you know, two kids in the arcade having fun, talking about games and how to get this to work, how to get that to work. And it brings me back, you know, it just makes me feel good being part of this community, because it's like, man, you don't really get that with anything. You don't get that with like the PlayStation community or the Nintendo community or the Xbox community, because they're too fucking busy like butting heads, like going at it. Well, my piece of plastic is better, my console is better, haha, you don't got no game, like all that stupid stuff. And you don't get that with, you know, the Steam Deck community. And granted, there is a fringe of the PC master race that's kind of elitist like that too, but as it is right now at the Steam Deck, you don't really get that. And that's something that I really like about this community. You know, from the YouTubers to the, you know, the various content creators, the community at large and the different groups. And, you know, it's just truly awesome. So if there's anything more to add to that, it's just you guys are fucking awesome, all of you. And, you know, I absolutely love being part of this. Another thing to bring up about why I love the Steam Deck and being an early adopter is this is a tinkerer's device. If you want to do, I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, if you want to upgrade the storage on this, say you got a 64 or 256 or 512, you want to put a 1 or 2 terabyte NVMe, you know, SSD in it, you can. Like, if you want to know which type of, you know, a micro SD card is best to use with it, you can tinker around with the various micro SD cards. You want to change out like your background layout for your home screen and, you know, game mode, you can. If you want to add, you know, non-Steam games, run like, you know, Beats of Rage, and if you want to run other type of programs through, you know, Lutris and all the stuff you can do with this, you can. It's such a tinkerer's device, and there's just so much that I'm really blown away with this, because this has become my ultimate device for retro gaming and modern gaming, with the exception of certain titles that I get on the PlayStation 5 and, you know, the Xbox Series X, as well as like on the Switch. For the most part, I'm just playing on here, and it's actually led me more to playing on my desktop again, because I'm actually slotting out time to, you know, if I pick up and start a game here, I go over to my desktop and start, you know, finishing up there. And even when I'm on the go, like, I don't do a lot of traveling as much as I used to. Like when I was working, you know, InfoSec and telephony and IT, I used to travel a lot, you know, travel to the mainland and all over for, you know, various things. And now that, you know, I'm kind of the way of the house husband, I'm a stay-at-home dad and taking care of my kids, as well as working from home full-time as a content creator and journalist, I don't travel as much. But, you know, when you got kids running around, I can just pick this up and play whatever, past, present, it doesn't matter, you know, and just tinkering with it. Like, what do I want the, you know, the TDP to be? What do I want this profile and performance to be? What do I want this frame rate to be? You know, how do I want to throttle, you know, the power output? It's so much that you can do with this, and it's just, yeah, just tinker with this. Just tinker with the Steam Deck, and I swear you're gonna love it. I can't really do much more with this video without saying that emulation on this thing is a beast, and I keep alluding to it, but yo, you want to play everything from the original Atari all the way up to the Nintendo Switch, you can do it with this device. I've got tutorials on how to set up EmuDeck, as well as like how to run third-party launchers and such. But yes, if you want to play Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sega Master System, NES, 64, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. If you want to play Xbox 360, if you want to play Nintendo Switch, Wii U, you can do that. You can do all that and more. Like the ability to play all of these retro titles. And, that brings into topic the conversation about games preservation, because eventually after a while video game discs, like the CD based consoles, the CDs get disc rot, right? So they stop working after a while. And then you also get the issues with cartridges after a while, they stop working. So being able to not only maintain the collection of rare games that I currently have, but also having the ability to play them at a moment's notice on my Steam Deck is really amazing. Like, I love diving back into the Sega CD. A lot of people may not know this, but Final Fight CD is like one of my favorite beat 'em ups, and I like to dive into it and play that. And I don't want to bring out my Sega CD and set up that monstrosity just to play that one title, and I can just put it on my Steam Deck and play from there. Emulation on this thing is absolutely amazing, and I love it. Going on further beyond that is just talking about how the Steam Deck has just reinvigorated my love of gaming. It's something where, I've always been a gamer. I've been a gamer for over 30 years now. And it's really interesting how, going from the NES era to where we're at now, where we're in this hyper realistic, the 4K, 8K, era with the HDR and everything going like that. It's amazing growing with gaming, like gaming grew up with me in a sense, and it's really cool just seeing the evolution of it. But at the same time, in seeing that evolution, I've also seen how gaming has changed, with it becoming more mainstream and more people getting on into gaming. Yeah, that's cool and all, but it also comes with its negatives of how the gaming industry has shifted to cater towards casuals. And for all intents and purposes, for many instances, they're like not catering or caring about those who stuck with gaming, even when it wasn't cool to game. I remember when you used to get beat up if you were, into video games. You used to get swirlies, or you used to get ridiculed and mocked. Same thing if you were into, it's kind of crazy how like you look at like modern movies, like Marvel and DC movies are so huge and like such part of like the culture now, where before, if you were into Marvel, you were into comic books, you're into cartoons, same thing with anime and manga, you're into nerd culture, you used to get ridiculed and beat up for it. Now it's mainstream and everyone's part of it. Everyone who wasn't part of it, now that they're part of it, they're trying to change it and make it about them instead of like maintaining the cool collective culture that we have. And so I say all that to say, like, with gaming, when it just started become run-of-the-mill, churning out, third-person shooters and first-person shooters, everything just became just so over the top, and gaming lost its way. And so, little by little, as newer stuff has come out, I've just started losing interest. But as time, Japanese companies have gotten more back into what they're used to, and then more stuff has been popping up, especially indie companies and indie games have been coming out. My love of gaming has just been returning, and just being able to have almost everything that I want to play at my fingertips and bringing it back to the Steam Deck. It's really been a blessing. This device, regardless of the Switch, PlayStation 5, the Xbox, this right here has just reinvigorated my love for gaming. And I'm really appreciative of that. I can go back and play the games I grew up with. I can play a plethora of indie games that were influenced by modern and retro titles. I can play modern titles, and it feels good, man. It feels good having choice. And I love that. So, in the last part, this is kind of a two-parter, but I'm gonna kick it off with the first part. And I really want to talk about the endless possibilities of the Steam Deck. Like, this has so much potential, this device. And even though this is a first generation product, it really has the capability, and it already kind of has changed the gaming landscape. This has influenced so much. Like, you've got so many devices that are popping up, with the INEO, the AOK and AOKZ, or however you say it, the Odin Pros. Like, there's so many devices that are coming in that are wanting a piece of the market that the Steam Deck has created. And not saying that it fully created, because we've always had the GPD Win devices that have always been there for like, the last decade and a half. But they never were mainstream like this. They never caught on. They never were in a device that just simply worked like this. Competitors are a great thing because they can introduce things that aren't here on the Steam Deck, and then the next revision or with an update, it can be implemented into this and maybe even done better, So that's something that, with the possibilities of what the Steam Deck is doing, how it's influencing the gaming industry. Like, I can see that Nintendo can look at the Steam Deck and realize, hey, whatever our successor to the Switch is going to be, we can see that we can actually have power and have it in a portable form factor, and it also be able to play modern AAA titles along with playing our first party intellectual properties, and everyone can be happy. Iron sharpens iron. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing the next Steam Deck is going to be, what the next set of updates are going to be, how the gaming industry is really taken to the Steam Deck and just really diving into this new market that they can be part of, right? So yeah, I'm excited for the possibilities of what the Steam Deck is and is offering, and how it has influenced the landscape of the market of gaming. And also, I think to wrap this up and end it, because I know this is probably a little bit long-winded, but I really want to say that I'm looking forward to the day when people can more readily, get this. And as an early adopter, someone who's going through, tinkering with this and playing it and having the experience of the various OSs that have come in the time that I've had it, my experience with this is not going to be the same as someone who gets it later on down the road. And I hope that with my experiences, along with all of you who have yours and all of you who've currently had your Steam Decks, that what we've gone through and the feedback and communication that we've had as a community with Valve goes into making this a really supreme product, and how, for future adopters, they get just a great experience. Even if that comes at the cost of us running into hiccups, like, the connecting into an external monitor and, sometimes with the screen not wanting to wake up. These are things that can be ironed out over time, and I don't have a problem being the early adopter. And so that's part of the growing pains, which all of the things that I've mentioned are part of the growing pains of being an early adopter. But these are the things that I like about the Steam Deck, and I like about being an early adopter. So that being said, what do you guys think of the video? What do you think of this topic or any of the things I said? Are you an early adopter? Do you feel the same way I feel? Whatever your thoughts are, like good, bad, indifferent, or in between, let's go ahead and get the conversation going in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and ding the notification bell. And outside of that, if you want to support the content further, if you enjoy this or you want early access to videos or input on upcoming videos that I'll be working on, make sure you check out our channel memberships here on YouTube, as well as, check out Patreon. And another way, if you want to support too, we got merch on Teespring and TeePublic, so those are options as well. All that being said, I hope you have a blessed and aloha rest of your day. I'm going to get back to, I'm going to try and get a little time playing the Steam Deck before I get to bed, because, kids are asleep and I just want to have some fun for a little bit and before the day starts all over again. So all that being said, glad to have you guys here. Glad to have had this conversation. And I look forward to seeing what you guys got to say. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. And yeah, that's it. Peace. Mahalo for your time. If you found this episode to be incredibly enjoyable, informative, or if there's anything you gain from it, or any insight, or anything that's good that you really enjoyed, make sure whatever platform you're listening to it on, or if you're watching it, leave a comment if that's available on the platform, like it, share it around with someone you think would enjoy it, and give us some feedback, because your feedback is exactly what we need to keep this show going. And if you're wondering what are some ways that you could support the show, we got various ways. We've got Patreon, we have channel memberships over on YouTube, as well as Subscribestar, Coffee, and so much more. Links for everything will be in the description. Check that out. And with all that being said, I hope you have an aloha rest of your day.
Let them know that I'm next level. I'm a whole new kind of guy. Yeah. Yes, at the top spot, in case you forgot. We the ones that got the block hot, bullet got the shot.